Where do you go live? I'm gonna do
The countdown.
and
I
did
did
you?
that.
That was pretty good.
You
Wow, what are
like
you, a
that?
producer all of a sudden? My gosh, I'll just
I
sit back and
what?
relax.
Exactly. You don't have to do a thing.
Oh, gosh. Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to Comedium Roast. We're going to have a good time with this one. We're going to figure out how our microphones are bleeding and not bleeding and making sure that we can hear one another all the way through. We think we've done all of the experiments that we need to, but who knows? I mean, we'll just figure it out as we go along. Welcome to our this kind of fun look at spiritual work, about energy, about how everything all kind of commingles. There's a little bit of pop culture in here. There's a little bit about creative energy, and it's just good old fashioned entertaining conversations with people that matter. They might not necessarily matter in the big scheme of things, but as we all know, the small things actually mean the big things. And a little bit about the show. We're going to take this episode to talk about the show. You probably caught a few of the pre episodes where we were working with medium Lindsay, who is a fantastic medium. She was kind enough to really kind of be that piece that we really needed to fill in, and she's definitely going to be part of the show here moving forward. But we wanted to kind of understand how to kind of work together, and the thing I'm super happy about this evolution is now to let Daryl talk. It's the evolution of having this as a team and really kind of working together. So, Daryl, if you could introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Daryl.
All
I
right, that's
am.
enough. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, guys. I'm totally kidding. By the way, somebody in the middle of the Mediterranean just went, "Well, there he is."
Right. He always interrupts people. He's so
No,
rude.
not at all.
American.
But anyways, what excites you about a project like this?
I just I love learning and talking and discussing random topics and learning things about items I know nothing about. But just going off the beaten path, getting other people's perspectives, learning how people are making a difference in the world. There's so much out there that people don't talk about, and I'm just looking forward to getting to pick different people's brains and what do they do, and understanding the nitty gritty of how people are kind of doing their thing in this world.
I think it's funny because a lot of people ask me, like, what is the most interesting thing about being a medium? Like, isn't it cool? You kind of know all and you see all. It's not. It's
Yeah.
meeting people.
Hmm.
And by the way, you said something very triggering to me. You said not knowing not knowing people or knowing what you're talking about. And I'm like, kind of making a living on this over here. But
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
you are.
That was the first joke. Hold on a second. The joke meter? Nope, we don't have one yet. Um,
You're just BSing your way through it all. I know.
that,
I
that
know.
was all.
It's all good.
It's not like you haven't had a front row across the way. And by the way, those of you that don't
Pretty
know,
much.
Daryl was the editor of my book, and from that just launched 101 conversations about different things over the years. So that just kind of grew into kind of the no-brainer of Daryl being just a really great choice to kind of do this stuff. And it's hard work, and shout out to the producer before we even get started. You got to roll up your sleeves, you got to do mundane stuff, you got to pull things together. And as we found me saying several times during the Groundhog Day episode, you got to keep the talent happy, so there's that.
That's what
Just
it's all about.
hi.
It's all about keeping the talent happy. I mean, who cares about the producer?
You call this a
Um,
coffee?
I know, right? Oh,
I'm just
we have some people already. We got Trish, Melissa, hey
mm-hmm.
Laura. Not sure who POH is, but hello.
Yeah, and it's funny because this is going to be a live one. This is going to be a free live one out there. But next week, and we're going to talk about this towards the end of the conversation here, which is where the design of the show. You know, and again, I'm eternally grateful for Lindsay, and she's great. We can't wait to have her back. But
Yeah,
schedules,
right.
right? We're doing something on a regular basis, and she's got a schedule. Just like everybody that's worth their salt as a guest is going to have a schedule. And we've got some really cool guests lined up. We're going to actually tell you who our guest host is going to be next week. We're also going to have a very regular schedule, so everybody chill. You know, everybody's just like, you're just like, oh, I can't really follow it. And you're like looking in your TV guide, and we're like, it's not on your TV guide. Like, can you not do that? Anyways.
Well, and one of us needed to take a vacation to Costa Rica. So there was
Not
that.
me.
It was not you.
How was Costa Rica? What'd you learn down there? By the way, did you see any dinosaurs?
I did. I sent you a picture of a dinosaur in the animal sanctuary. It was
You
fake.
did?
It was fake.
I felt like what's his name? You know, like Jeff sitting there going, there are going to be dinosaurs on your dinosaur tours, aren't you? I mean, that's the only reason to go to Costa Rica in my book.
Right.
You know, aside from the bed bugs and the earthquakes. I mean, what else are you going to, you know, get down there? And the insanely, wasn't it warm?
It was so humid. It was hot. It was humid. But it was amazing. I went on a treat called Nourish Your Soul, and it was all about intentionally eating foods that are healthy for you. We focused on a different element each day. We were there for 5 days, had activities revolved around each element, and it was amazing. I came back just open, and my creative juices are now flowing again, and I just feel lifted up and like I'm a brand new person. And yeah, I enjoyed every minute of it.
You look like a brand new person, but
my nose is still burnt.
I look like I'm done. No, but it's exciting. I think that it's you know, I think it's one of those things that we kind of have to do from time to time. And from a spiritual standpoint, the Nourish Your Soul, and I know that group. You know, I know you're leader on that. I've actually had her on previous, you know, podcasts, Lainey Savante, and it's you know, there's ideas that we don't take our day-to-day seriously, so we have to break down and go there for a week and a half, whatever. And even in my retreat planning, you know, a lot of people pack them in on the retreats. Like, we've got, you know, from 6:45 to 7:25, we're going to do this and that and the other thing. And it's an ongoing, you know, it becomes then you need a vacation from a vacation. I think that rest and you know, have activities, have one, maybe two things a day, but don't. This is about a rest type of thing, because our culture is very go, 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 very go, 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 go. And we can't tap into the spiritual side of things if we're always burnt. And that's, to me, like, you know, just knowing how Savante does things, you know, being able to kind of just be like, hey, go chill for a day. That's fine if you miss stuff or whatever.
Yeah. There was plenty of downtime. So it was scheduled really well. So you had downtime, you had your activities. We came together as a group, and then you could go write or journal or take a hike or, you know, do what you wanted. And it was such a great balance of different things that it was perfect.
Yeah, and we had to actually start the podcast today because we will submit these podcasts for award-winning shows, and you have to start it before March 1st. I don't know if you know that or not. Almost threw the whole thing off completely and totally. So I'm just like, you know, I'm just like, all right, we'll kind of do it alone. But this actually gives me an opportunity to talk about what our structure is going to be moving forward. And I'm glad you're rested, because, you know, you know me, you know, like the subtext of being a producer. It's like you're going to get beaten like a rented mule. So it's just kind of like, The look
Bring
on
it on.
your face. Well, no, fair enough. Fair enough. There was one time at band camp I was rented mule. Um,
Don't give away all my secrets. Come on.
There you go. That's part of the fun, that like we just dance on the edge all the time. No, but the structure of this can kind of come in a couple of different forms. This is my podcast. This is how it's driven. Daryl's obviously going to be a very valuable contributor as we go along. So it makes a lot of sense that she and I are kind of doing this episode to kind of do the lay of the land. And then we'll have two types of guests, actually three types of guests on kind of in a bigger picture. The first one is obviously going to be guest co-host, where me and another medium or spiritual connective person are going to be working together for a day, almost like they're guest hosts on like SNL. And we'll work out like skits and, that sort of thing. And we'll have a lot of fun with it. This is a part where Daryl will slowly age over time. And then this is the part where she's like, our show is tomorrow. And then I'll be like, okay. And then she'll be like, you didn't get anything done. And then I'll be like, okay. And then she'll go, tomorrow is when it's done. When do you plan on doing it? And I'm like, all right, well, what time are we doing this? The way I see it, if I don't get caught in traffic, it'll work out perfect.
Story of my life right there. Mm-hmm.
You should try editing a book for me. Oh, wait.
I did.
And yet we still hit every deadline, didn't we?
Surprisingly, yes.
See, that's how Pisces work.
Give
us a deadline and don't give us more than a day.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm learning.
And then I'll be curled up in a corner going, you have to give me more time. It goes both ways.
It does. Get my red pen out.
That's the way Pisces are. They go both ways. Anyway, so the challenge is like, okay, how do you get great hosts? Well, they should be busy. So we're going to be planning these things out. And yes, in about another week or so, there's going to be an actual website that you can subscribe to as well. It's going to run through my channel. And it's going to have an opportunity for you to be able to see it and go like, oh, these are great shows. I want to make sure that I get that. I want to make sure I kind of go into that. Now, the only full accesses are going to be on the subscriber level. It's only $2.99 a month. It's not a whole lot of money. And you're basically going to be getting about 8 episodes a month. You might get a couple of more. You might get less on a vacation week. Like, let's just say everybody goes to Costa Rica. Just saying. But then on the other side of that, then there will also be the shows where it's really kind of just Daryl and I kind of, rocking and rolling something out. It's not to fill content, and it's not because we can't get hosts, but sometimes there's just better topics where, some of the intelligent conversations about like book ideas or challenges. And one of my favorite things about Daryl, and when we start talking, is how much she doesn't agree with me.
That's so true.
Just in terms of a dichotomy difference.
Right. Well, and we kind of talked about this because, we're both spiritual and we're both very fascinated with science. And I think my having been a microbiologist and a nurse, like science is my thing, but I can look at science and how does it apply spiritually? And you're the same, but probably a little bit flip-flopped.
I think it's 60-40, 60-40.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's a good thing.
I will challenge you on certain things. Mm-hmm.
Did I say you're Leo rising? But this, I think, is a very kind of interesting dynamic about, charts and that sort of thing. And when I've done other podcasts and I've worked with people, I pull up their charts, which will still be part of it. That'll be one of the segments that we pull out from time to time. For certain guests, obviously, we're going to talk about certain things. And it's funny because when you and I like started like, talking about this or whatever, and we were taking a look at like how we communicate, those are key things when you're doing projects like this. Like, how do you communicate? How do you, where's your tough skin? Where's the stuff that it's like, oh yeah, when you go there, I kind of fold like a cheap suit. What motivates you? How do you get there? That sort of thing. And it's funny because me being immutable in Pisces, you being a cardinal as a Libra, we both have fixed energy in our rising, which is a funny thing, you know, because being a Leo and then you being a Scorpio, it's one of those placements where we're both driven, but in two totally different ways.
Right. Right.
I want to fuck around to find out. You want to plan and make sure that it's executed.
Mm-hmm.
And if
Yep.
it's not done right, you want to execute.
Doesn't matter who's on the other end.
Like everything I do, it's a quasi it's a quasi therapy session.
Mm-hmm. True.
Daryl's like, does the job pay? She goes, well, it's got a copay. I knew that.
That's a given. Come on.
But it's also a dynamic where even into the moon signs, where I'm an Aquarian, being an air sign, I can kind of relate to your even kind of your fortitude of your sun sign, right? Because you've kind of got that air conversation, and your moon just kind of being like, you're not going to offend me. Oh, and I don't care. Like, and it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun because, like, I push you and you're just like, all right, whatever, I'll see you tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, that didn't work either.
You're trying to find that one thing that puts me over the edge.
I try. Every good Pisces tries to break everything. Don't you know that?
Well, Capricorn moons don't care.
Friendships, business dealings, whatever. It's kind of like a how do I get through this, and how do I is this going to work? I don't know if it's going to work or not. And then you try and break it, and you're like, huh, didn't break.
I'm like a honey badger. Honey badgers don't give a shit.
Stop. You are going to get a nickname by the end of the show. Honey Badger Producer. Producer Honey Badger. There you go. So back on the structure of the show. So as we move forward, what's going to happen is you can see it in its entirety behind the scenes by becoming an audience member for $2.99 a month. We have other levels if you feel like we're doing a great job or you feel like you want to get along with this. That's great. We are going to have sponsorships attached to this. We decided to skip that for the first one because some of them just kind of want to see a certain couple of things, but we have sponsors really kind of lined up. We're cutting commercials. We're doing all that stuff. And then on the flip side of that, we're actually going to have some videos that are kind of like cut up. They're going to be floating out there and you're going to see snippets out there. So depending on how you want to get it, if you just want to be a casual fan and just kind of like listen to the snippets and just be fun, like and subscribe. You don't have to necessarily be a paid member. Push it along, send it to your friends, what have you. In terms of a professional capacity, obviously I'm a medium, I'm an astrologer, I teach tarot, I do a lot of work with spiritual development on a lot of different levels, and that is something that I'm always available for. I don't hawk it too much because I have so many people that I've worked with over the years, but there is an opportunity to be able to work with me. I'd be a fool not to say that. In Daryl's case, I want to, have Daryl kind of introduce a little bit what she does as well. We're kind of offline on this. It makes a lot of sense how it all kind of comes together. So, Daryl, what's your professional world look like?
My professional world right now, gosh, I feel like I have my hands in a lot of different things. So besides podcast, I work with Brandon and 10th House Publishers. So I'm a book editor, and we are in the publishing world as far as helping people get their stories out there, their pen to purpose, which is our philosophy. So I am doing that. I am also I'm teaching writing classes through 10th House. I had one in the fall, and I'm working on some coming up for the spring. So if you're interested in writing classes, definitely get in touch. And down the road, I really want to do some writing retreats. So I am going to be working with Brandon and Lainey, who I was just with in Costa Rica, on future retreats.
Yeah.
And
so I was just going to joke around with that and say there's a pretty good chance you're probably going to go to Costa Rica at some point with a retreat.
That'd be cool. I already know a place.
I hurt. I mean, you might burn your nose, but whatever.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's funny, the other thing that that I've been kicking around for a long time being in upstate New York, like I underutilize the Adirondacks and the Catskills so much. Like they're an hour drive in either direction. And, I'll take the kids there. That'll be a vacation up there. It's a good family, kind of resort area. I find it though, it's funny. One of the things that, like, when I've just kind of done like simple searches, either they're luxury hotelish sort of things, which, okay, or they're very religious, where it's kind of like, we have to be a
Really?
7-day in order to do your writing retreat. Like, what the hell is that about?
I didn't know that. I guess I haven't done that much research in that. So,
Did you hear that? The sirens are here. Are they here? Hide me.
yeah.
No. Okay. All right.
Under the table. Under the table.
They look there first. I mean, come on. Don't you know? I mean, I've been caught a few times, but now the other thing in terms of guests that we'll have on here will be segment guests. These may be people like you that have a product, that have something of service, or that have a take on something that we may want to have you on to talk about it. As an expert, maybe you're a painter and we want to talk about your creative. How do you get your left and right brain, your left and right brain going? Did you hear that one? Jeez.
Good morning.
I haven't even gotten the new ones yet. Or maybe it's a musician, that wants to, we want to talk about, maybe it's a chance to plug some music or their channel, or kind of what their creative influences are and kind of where they go with things. There's also the idea that, we could have other, spiritual workers that are on here that might introduce a concept or a theory that, we're curious about. So this is really about that. And by the way, we plan on getting a lot of our selections and suggestions from our audience members. That is a very, very key thing, because what we want to do is have this be a very interactive type of thing. We're curious, which we know that other people are curious. So that's who we want to appeal to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And do you remember what the third category is? I remember. But maybe
No.
No, I'm not. I'm such a for failure with that one, because I thought of it and I don't think I talked about it. Which, by the way, get used to me now.
Thanks.
Brandon, you're pretty horrible.
That's why I'm the producer. That's why I'm not the talent.
We should and we will have your own theme song, right?
Exactly.
So one of the fun things that I love to do, like I said, I love to meet people. So why not have, an audience member come on every once in a while, again, for a segment, don't get camera shy, but make sure they have a good camera and a pretty good microphone, and we'll bring you on. We are so going to work out this microphone issue. Holy shit. I know. We have like really expensive equipment. It's just one thing didn't work on one of them, and it's like it throws the whole thing into fakaka. And we're like, when did we start? Like 10 minutes ago. That's the Pisces for you. But yeah, you're going to get a little bit of feedback on it. It's because she's on the other side of the room, and it's mic'd and whatever. Yeah, that's because she's muted. And by the way, this is where I start getting the misogyny emails where it's like, you're muting her, but you're not muting you. That's because I have the microphone. Ta-da. Actually, what we should have done, we probably should have switched it, because you are softer spoken. With me, I boom my voice. Oh my
Yes,
God.
you do.
We'll do better
You
next
like
time.
to project. It's all good.
I like to get it all over the place. You're welcome.
Not what I meant, but
I don't think I can reach there. You're a good 40 feet away, kid. Not even on my best day with a good night's sleep.
that would be something.
That'd be a different channel.
Everybody sees me suddenly, jump out of the way.
It's just like, oh. Our likes just went up by 20. You just got a super fun cash out. It was like, ooh.
Either that or everybody's going to be like, this is not the podcast I thought.
$12 to see the left one. What? What are you talking about? I don't know. I don't even know what any of that is. Can we change the subject, please? So, anyways, we want you on as a guest. You won't have to.
I'm sorry.
King of the segues. King of the segues. I mean, if there was any better of a segue. Oh yeah, the other thing about the topics too. Not that we want to have it be a grandstand for some people, but social justice and spirituality are starting to go hand in hand, and I think that I'm in a soapbox for like 30 seconds here. I think that there's a definite need for consciousness. Part of our consciousness evolution has a lot to do with where we stand on issues. And I know a lot of people that go down a spiritual journey that are very much like, oh my God, I just turn off the TV. I don't care. I don't even vote anymore. All of those things are subject to change, right? But I think we're coming into a time where once you reconcile the idea that the system is broken, then you realize what your responsibility is to fix it. And it's a triage. And we're getting to a time of enlightenment where triage won't work, but it's still one of the phases we're in. And the triage might be we're going to vote for this person, even though we know it's not a long-term solution. And it is a lesser of two evils, but it is a triage of the situation. Quit looking at it as a lesser of two evils and start looking at it as a triage for the moment, because we're bleeding out, as a social society. Like we don't have immigration right. We don't have our rights straightened out. We have people defending criminal behavior. Like we've like something's wrong here. And I'm not saying that every rule in place needs to be followed to a T. I'm definitely not a teetotaler here. But on the other side of it, it's like you got to know where the rules are in order to know where to break them. And in spirituality, it's part of it. Like when you take a topic like the dark night of the soul, this is a great example. Dark night of the soul makes you kind of like go through things where you're just like, you want to look back and say, oh my gosh, I was not my best look. Like I did some stuff I probably shouldn't have, but you're like, boy, did I love doing that.
Right.
Like you need to go down that path a little bit. And I think in our dark night of the soul right now, where we're at, there's a blessing and a curse with understanding that we're getting caught into a checkmate of like failed logic. And this is a time for you to develop your intuition more than any other time. It is a time for you to sit with it and say, where do I actually feel this should go? And by the way, I'm not telling you where to vote, but if you've watched any of my videos, you kind of know where I slant to. And it wasn't even, I'm actually a little more conservative, and I was conservative for decades. Some of it by choice and some of it by social status. But on the flip side of that, now when I really look at it, I'm like, none of those principles exist anymore. And that's the frightening part. I don't have a place to go home to, so I need to formulate my own decision. And I think that's where most people are.
Right.
What do you think?
Right. No, I agree 100%. And I think that having other people on because I do feel like there's a shift. There's definitely an energetic shift starting against how our society is slip sliding down this very slippery slope. And I think the more that we talk about it and the more we make people aware of it, the more enlightened people are and the more they have more information to be able to make informed decisions. And I think that's very important as we move forward as a society.
Yeah. And I think it does tie in. It's funny. I have a lot of verboseness in when I start to talk about things. And it's confident. It's a little arrogant. It's a little over the top, but I know what I know. And if we don't start speaking in conviction, we'll be convicted ourselves, and for me,
we're no better if we don't stand up and
we become complacent, then we side with the aggressor, really. All right. See also, Poland 1937. So it's like, that conversation for me is a big deal. I've also become apprised to, if you pay attention to things, being outspoken in the way that I've been outspoken, there are And I'd love to get a guest like this on, and I don't mean to go like kind of, Rogan podcast here, but there are lists out there where certain categories of certain people that have quote unquote spoken out are in there. And some of the stuff I was doing was absolutely out there, was absolutely on one of those lists because it mentioned somebody's name and it got into an algorithm, and then it was like, well, it'll be under review. And by the way, you have targeted people that'll be like, oh, you talked about us in the wrong way, so we're going to go after you. Every MSNBC host is like got a target on their back. And then you have another category, which is kind of like guilty by association. And then you have this kind of like general one, but it's still specific. It still lists out to say, this is how we're going to make their life difficult. And I'm in that category. And I kind of laugh about it because I'm like, you know, we're spending that much time on how to keep people down. I look at it from the energetic point of view, and I think that's the challenge in all of this. Where
Right.
I think people are looking at it as political. You have to look at it as energy, not political. Makes
Right.
sense?
And not that we want to make the show political, but
Mm.
there are definitely things that will come up because it crosses into the spiritual.
Mhm.
And I'm curious with the people we have watching, like, you know, anybody on this list interested in being, on the show and having a topic to talk about? I'd love to know your feedback.
Yeah. Ooh. Look
Look
at
at
you,
me.
Garner.
Look at me being a producer.
Look
What?
at you. Look at you doing all. I'm gonna get you a red hat that says producer. It's the only way I'll get you to wear a red hat.
Yeah, probably.
I'm gonna-
Has to have more than 4 letters on it.
That'll get you into an algorithm, right? That'll get you into an algorithm. So it's funny how we kind of like connect and approach the even politics with that. But back on the topic of energy, which is really what the show is going to be about. It's about that energetic value of how people really kind of create and how we create our reality, right? How an artist approaches a canvas, how a musician approaches a song. How does one light worker work in one way? I mean, every single medium works differently. They just
Right.
work differently.
Mm-hmm.
And how they approach it, I think there's an equation that goes into every single person. And that's what I'm trying to master. I'm trying to figure out, what's that equation? Because we have faith in people, right? But until we can prove certain things, then it's faith instead of science. I want to turn the corner and have it go towards science and say, your upbringing plus your experiences plus your behaviors plus your heritage, tendencies, social status, that sort of thing, plus your teachers, plus the things that excite you, plus the things you're exposed to. Um, all of those things are really important to develop who you are. Have you noticed the most popular things on the internet tend to be the things where it's like cross generational, where
Yeah.
we have 8-year-olds listening to Led Zeppelin for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Think
There's a
about
lot for that. Yeah.
think about that for a second, because what you have is people being exposed to what we would consider great music, right? John Bonham, top 3 drummer of all time. Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, the best retoolers of music ever. Sorry, I just kind of took a swipe at their ability to steal everything they ever heard.
A little bit.
But they did something unique with it still, and people are like, oh, they stole it or oh, whatever. They didn't get it credit. You listen to Jimi Hendrix do All Along the Watchtower, and then you listen to Bob Dylan's All Along the Watchtower. Bob Dylan's version is absolute crap. I'm sorry, what? We have the best Bob Dylan impression. And then Jimmy takes it, and then he's just like, he accentuates all the words that he slurred.
Mm.
Right? So what is that interpretation? Well, you look at Bob Dylan, who was a singer-songwriter sitting in the back of a bar watching one beatnik after another and going, we're just going to be so wasted. They just want to hear drones in the back of that, the original coffee shop, the Jack Kerouac crowd, the people that just want to kind of like hang out and just kind of be, and we'll just kind of, and blah, 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 blah. Well, Jimi Hendrix comes at it from a funk soul standpoint, and you just, where Dylan's going, oh, watch out. Jimi Hendrix comes out and is just like, oh, what now? And you're, is that the same song?
Right.
So energetic interpretation is huge when you start doing this work. It's huge. What does it mean to you? What does it mean to vibrate in that? In Jimi Hendrix's upbringing, and I think it was in Chicago. I could be right. Chicago or Philadelphia. Of course, it's probably like Memphis or Mississippi, and I got it all wrong. But
I'm not sure.
I do know Dylan's from Minnesota, though. So in Minnesota, they don't really sing because they can't move their jaw. They're like the frozen, they've got the frozen jaw line.
Yeah, well, it is like their teeth. It is like they just sling through their teeth. It's kind of funny.
Oil can. Oil can.
Well, and I think along that line, I was just thinking of the book that you and I are both going to be a part of, which I don't know if you noticed, changed from high vibrational eating to high vibrational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Brandon and I are involved in a book where there's 25 authors contributing their story about their modality of healing. And again, like Brandon said, there's every medium, psychic, spiritual person heals in a different way. And I think it's definitely it's eye-opening to see how different people work.
Yeah, we'll do a show on that, in the future and get a couple of the authors on there because there's really quality. I was really honored to be asked to contribute to it. And there's a lot of quality people, PhDs, people that have been working their craft for a long time. Myself, I've been a medium for 15 years, but I've had my own, weight loss journey that has been super critical to, in my evolution. When I lost weight, it was a big deal. And it's about creating safe space, and it's about, recognizing where you go from point A to point B. And I think that a lot of the conversation that we don't have with ourselves, and when I say don't have with ourselves, we tend to externalize everybody else's business. I'll let that sit for a second, because that's a big deal in healing. It comes in the form of spiritual bypassing. It comes in the form of trying to control another person. It comes in the form of saying, well, at least I'm not them. Why do you think we love horrific stories? Why do you think the news became so sensationalized? Because somebody leaving their kid in the car makes us feel better. It sounds horrible to say that.
Yeah, right. But it wasn't you who did it. You can see why it happened, but it wasn't you who did it. Yeah.
And then it turns into, we should really find a solution for that. Like, okay, how about not have a mom have to work two, full-time jobs and take care of their kid because we don't have affordable health care and we don't have infrastructured systems. And then when horrific things happen, it's almost like the people that took away any of those opportunities to make their life easier is like, well, see what happens. They're pieces of shit. That's what they do. And then it's like we judge this, we let the judgment come in a big way. It's really it's a horrific. It's almost like a car wreck, and people are like, it's like not having guardrails. Like that's what I think. A lot of people think that when people are opinionated about societal influx, whether it be politics or money or whatever, or social causes, we think that like we're trying to tell you how to drive your car. We're not trying to tell you how to drive your car. We're trying to put up the guardrails so you don't hurt yourself. We're trying to put in, measures where you're not going to go 90 where everybody else thinks you're going 20. Like it's a standardization that prohibits recklessness. And that's why some people don't like laws. That's the reason why some people try to bend it. and, say things like, well, I don't pay taxes, you don't pay taxes, so guess what? We're on the same even. That doesn't make it right. And that becomes, you know, in spiritual development, we lose ourselves because we don't create our own standard. Creating your own standard is the most important thing. And being unapologetic for it. If you don't like a certain thing on how somebody goes about things, you have every right to create a boundary and say, that's it, I'm done.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
but on the flip side of that, there's also, just because I'm uncomfortable with how you do something, I don't really have a right to tell you how to live. That's
No, but
insane.
everybody, well, I shouldn't say everybody, a lot of society feels that they have the right to tell each other, you're doing this wrong and you're not leading a life they agree with. Well, if you don't agree with it, it's like listening to, a certain radio station. If you don't like the music on there, don't listen to the radio station. Don't tell the radio station they shouldn't be playing that music. It's that simple. But people have to make it personal and have to tell you what they think is better because they have a different lifestyle or whatever it might be.
It's funny. Maybe it's like, maybe we're trying to get people to live our lives for us because we don't want to do the work ourselves,
There's definitely a lot of that.
which
Yeah.
is 100% the challenge of the day. 100%. See, also the beginning of the conversation, we externalize most of our healing. And I'm really interested to talk to people about how it is, because developed people will have their arms wrapped around it. Pardon me.
Yep.
Developed people will at least have a strategy. It doesn't, I mean, I don't have it right. You don't have it right. I haven't met anybody have it right, but I have met a lot of people that have pieces of it right. Where at the end of the day, when you're like, okay, well, I don't like this person, or I don't like this facet. I don't like how, and I'm using politics because it's an easy, benign thing to use. I don't like how it's going. So this is going to be my behavior to counteract that. That's how movements happen. That's how the age of Aquarius is going to look.
Yeah.
Your personal accountability and your influence into it, whether it changes or not, you can't have a vested interest in it. That's the coldness of Aquarian energy too, where it's like, I'm going to put my best foot forward, but if you don't get it, I can't help you.
Right. And yeah, and I think there's already a shift. I mean, I said this a little bit ago, but there's already a shift energetically that I think people are just frustrated and tired of how things are going. And I've talked to, especially on the retreat I was just on, but talked to people from different parts of the country, and everybody feels the same. Doesn't matter where you live. People are just getting sick and tired of it. And I think that through this year and next year, we're going to see things change dramatically in how.
Well, astrologically, it's about those.
Right.
It's about the Pluto return. It's about
There's
our transformation of self.
Yeah, huge shift.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Well, let's do a segment or two. Let's Oh, you got any good ideas? And by the way, this is kind of how it's kind of a double blind test. In a way, Daryl is the KPMG of the show here. And if you don't get with the KPMG person of the, think of Yolanda Vega coming out right now. I'm Yolanda Vega, and Daryl is the auditor from KPMG. Like, I don't know where she's going to go with this. I just have to announce the numbers. Does that make sense? Am I the only one? Am I the only one that watched those lottery numbers roll out?
You said Yolanda Vega.
Yolanda Vega, which I have a kind of funny story. I met one of her relatives.
Oh wow! Really?
In a reading. I'm not going to say who because I don't know. I think she's got a decent sized family, but this was kind of this was like the next generation down in her family. And she, and I'm like, wow. I go, who's the one that's surrounded by all this money? I'm like, I was getting like Scrooge McDuck money, like that opening scene when Scrooge McDuck is like, like surfing on the coins, like woo, woo. And I'm like, you have a family member that like is Scrooge McDuck? I go, are you related to the McDucks at all? Or the McDuck McScrooge? I forget it. I kind of flip flop it, but it's so funny. And then she goes, oh yeah, that's you're probably picking up on. My person. And I was like, oh, I'm like, what do they do for a living? And then she went, she's Yolanda Vega. So I'm laughing and I'm like, all right, well, that's a little Scrooge McDuck there. I mean, yeah, that's kind of fun. All right, where are you taking us?
Okay, so we had a funny conversation about Melba Sauce last
Pretty
week,
pretty much the best sauce ever.
which I do disagree. I am not really a Melba Sauce fan.
Well, you're a woman of the world, and you have a multi-stamp passport, right? Can we say it that way?
Yeah, this is true.
Yes. So, but I learned, and lo and behold, you and I have a conversation about it, here in the office, and then I pick up my phone, and like my feed is full of Melba sauce information. Like it was like, oh, thank you, Siri, for popping into my head.
Siri was trying to give you a solid with that because I was like, screw Melba Sauce.
And by the way, when you have enough Melba sauce, nothing is solid. Um, we
Another reason not to like it.
we smudge hair often. Um, No, but one of the articles that I happen to come across, I'm like, oh, I share it with you, and I'm just like, I go, see, Melba sauce is a thing, but it's a capital district thing, being in upstate New York near Albany. Even when you go further west, like beyond, Utica or further downstate, certainly into Westchester, like they don't use Melba sauce for this. As a matter of fact, I don't think Melba sauce is used anywhere else in the world, but in upstate New York. Because according to Daryl, she's like, who fucking did this?
Right? It's like, ugh. Anyway, so I put together, I found a little quiz,
Oh,
and there's actually two because the first one you're going to probably nail this in 30 seconds.
that's what she said.
That's totally what she said. The second one I think is going to be a little more difficult for you. So let me see if I can bring this up
Okay,
here.
all right.
There we go. Okay. So,
Oh, come
and
on.
this was, yeah,
Come on,
but
look at me. I have a minor and a major in eating.
I know. That's why I'm like, this one you're going to get pretty quickly. The next one's going to be a little more challenging.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so this
so
is
on this
based
one,
on,
America's top 5 sauces. Now,
yeah.
do I get credit for getting them, or do I have to get them in order? Is there an order to them?
There is an order to them.
Okay.
I think you're going to rattle them off, but I don't know if you'll get them in the right order. Let's
Well,
put it
I'm
that
going to put
way.
Melba at number 5, just for
It is
giggles.
not on there.
It's a shit list. You're already fired.
You can't, the capital district doesn't count as America. I'm sorry.
Number number 47 in your sauce hearts, but number on the
Right.
program, but number 1 in your heart. I'm going to go ketchup because I think ketchup is probably. I think it would be considered. When you say sauce, is it condiments or is it sauce?
It's kind of both. So
Okay,
it's sort of like what are America's top like dipping sauces or sauces?
I'm going to
Yes.
go ketchup number 1. I'm going to go mayonnaise number 2. I'm going to go. You would think I'm going to go mustard, but I'm not. I'm going to go barbecue number 3,
Okay.
and then I'm going to go mustard, and then is it like a cocktail or a tartar? And again, like fish during Lent is really a Northeast thing.
Mm,
Um, what's another thing that I mean I don't want to give a sponsorship away, but like some sort of chicken sauce. Although I will plug Arby's every chance I get. Horsey sauce is a thing. How about like horseradish sauce? I'll kind of go horseradish. That's kind of my wild card, but you're here my 3 possible. Melba notwithstanding, but here we go. Probably ranch. So I'm
yeah.
gonna put ranches. I'm gonna put ranches 5.
You're gonna put ranch as 5. Okay. So you
Blue
have,
cheese would probably be in there too.
oh my God, what do you
Fucking, I can't just. Can I call a friend?
gotta pick with 5. 5.
Can I
Okay.
phone a friend?
There are no lifelines. There are
Shit.
no calling friends.
Shit.
Well, let me just say this. You more than likely have 4 of the 5, but I need to know which 5 you're going with.
Okay, I'm gonna go. My official final answer. See, do you put ranch or blue cheese ahead of this? Because blue cheese really. We are a ranch loving nation, though. We just cover everything in
I
ranch.
know. And you got to remember, this is America's list. This is America's list. Giving you a little hint there.
No, that's also you. Oh, what about nacho cheese? Holy shit, it just got crazy.
See, there are a lot of ways you can go. We've got some good guesses from our studio audience.
Oh,
What's your gut tell you?
I didn't even have that up. I purposely did not have that up.
Yeah, that's okay.
No, look at this. Oh, marinara salsa. Yeah, I can't. I didn't have that. I can't get credit for that one. Ranch.
DOH, marinara all the way.
Really? Oh, you're probably just
No,
saying that
I'm
because of the
just,
Melba
yeah, exactly.
bullshit. It's a conspiracy. You're already getting Team Daryl together. I see you.
Oh, yeah, totally.
All right, so I'm gonna go catch up. And by the way, I plan to make this segment so long that you can't even have time for the next one. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. He's such an asshole, everybody. She already knew it. You're learning it. Or you knew it and she's learning it. Okay, I'm going to go ketchup number 1. I'm going to go mayonnaise number 2. I'm going to go ketchup number 1, ranch number 2, mayonnaise number 3, blue cheese number 4, and I'm going to go nacho cheese number 5. That's my final answer.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Okay, you ready?
Please.
All right, ketchup number 1.
Hot sauce. Burn your nips on that one.
Sauce.
So what's your favorite out of this? Mustard is too high for me.
So honestly, none of these. I'll put ketchup on a burger, but I don't dip like fries in ketchup. I'm not a big barbecue sauce fan or hot sauce. Mustard I like on a hamburger hot dog kind of thing. And I'm not a big fan of ranch.
Your British is showing.
Very much so. Like I am a blue cheese.
And by the way, spelled BLEU.
Exactly.
It has to be spelled wrong.
Exactly.
So barbecue sauce doesn't surprise me at number 2. Hot sauce.
I know.
I see why it's on the list. I would have flip-flopped hot sauce and ranch.
Mm-hmm.
Mustard, though, I got to tell you, I don't see people having that be like, oh my gosh, that's a go-to. And that doesn't mean that mustards can't be good. It doesn't mean that they're not flavorful. But
right.
We are such a degenerate. Like mustard is almost more of an acquired taste.
It is, depending on the mustard. Yeah, I agree.
Right. Ketchup is that we don't mature. You know,
we're still a child.
Right. Our inner child is stuck at number 1. Number 2 is that we think like we need something kind of tangy, like I can make this myself. And by the way, what is barbecue sauce but ketchup and some sort of other blends of something else, right?
Yeah,
hot sauces is because we have self-loathing. Like, I mean, we just hate ourselves. It's like, oh, make it spicy. I don't know what flavor it is. What is that, brie cheese? Put some hot sauce on it. Like, it's kind of like, it's like the degenerate sauce of everything. It's just put hot sauce on it. Now, when used properly, it's a great little kind of like, right? But hot sauce, when you're just like, I'm just going to dip it in there. And by the way, I'm going to burn my eyeballs out. This is done with the Carolina peppers and Carolina ghost peppers. And guess what? When you put this hot sauce on, you're going to burn your eyelids off. And then you're going to hate your mother, and then several generations. Thank you very much. Your colonoscopy is ready. Like, that is hot sauce, right? Mustard is kind of an acquired taste. It's a little British. It's a little snooby, not snobby, but snooby. And then ranch dressing is just, I mean, what else do you pour ranch on but broken hopes and dreams?
It goes on everything. Oh my god!
So a little surprised nacho cheese wasn't on there, but I get it. It's only 5.
Yeah, and I feel like ranch has become so popular that it probably bumped blue cheese. Because, I mean, you can't have wings and not have blue cheese. I'm sorry. Like, ranch to me with wings, ugh.
But I will tell you, when I was down in Memphis, they were all about giving you had your choice, just like in upstate New York, you have the choice between Melba and marinara for your sticks, ranch dressing or blue cheese. Both were homemade. And I'll tell you, the ranch dressing that I had is way different than what you get in the bottles on the shelf. The ranch dressing, like it's
Yeah.
got cracked pepper in it. It's actually a flavorful kind of, thing where at least your hopes and dreams still have life.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I've had ranch dressing that is amazing, but I'm not a fan of, like, bottled ranch, like Hidden Valley ranch. Like,
That's because you love your mother. You don't hate your immediate family members.
Sure.
you, you 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 don't go around kicking cats and dogs. Like you're a good person. All right, cool. Well, thank you. And by the way, these are the types of fun stuff that we would love to be able. One of the segments that we're going to do is when we have a guest co-host on, we're going to pull audience members on, and you're going to team up with Brandon, or you're going to team up with one of our guest hosts. And it'll be team versus team, and then Daryl's going to moderate. It's kind of a fun thing. But that's a little bit of a feel for kind of some of the fun stuff. So what's the other poll? Is it a poll or is it a list? I love it. I love that I have no control over this, by the way.
So
None.
This one, I think, you want me to bring the next one up? Because this one, I think,
give us an introduction.
It's going to challenge you. Okay, let me bring this back up.
Come on. Barbecue sauces? I know this.
Okay. Now, this is ranked by chefs. So, there's going to be some discerning taste in there. So, 7 best fast food dipping sauces ranked by chefs. So, this one, a little more challenging. You got to know your fast food.
Well, I'm going to tell you, come on. I don't know if you guys have seen my Alfred Hitchcock pose, but I mean, I've got this part right here, mostly sauces. All right. So what about, I'm going to go right out of the gate and say the Chick-fil-A sauce has got to be on the list, on a minimum, because it's in essence, ketchup and mayonnaise mixed together with like a hint of, like they put a little chipotle in there. So it's like barbecue sauce too. So I'm going to actually probably say that's number 1, because just in terms of popularity, but it's also probably ranked pretty high for some other reasons. I'm also going to say the special sauce is probably on there, but probably further down, somewhere around 6. The McDonald's Big Mac sauce, is it on the list?
No. Chick-fil-A sauce it's on the list. It's not number 1.
Who else is known for their sauces? So they're specifically known for their sauces?
What's that?
They're specifically known for their sauces?
Who's that?
Like these fast food dipping sauces are
like
the restaurant also kind of goes hand in hand. Well, I said the other one, the Arby's horsey sauce has got to be on there.
No.
No?
No.
Is Arby's mentioned at all?
I think it was a little higher up.
The horsey sauce or the...
Yeah. I mean, it didn't make the top 7. Let's just put it that way.
And I think it's interesting that you went with 7 to be like, probably, and I'm going to tell you the number 7 is probably the one where like you should have known this, which is why you made it 7.
Well, that actually, it only ranked 7, but I looked at other lists that did have the Arby's sauce on it. But I went with this one because 7's my lucky number. But it was like a good succinct summary of the top.
Yeah, there's got to be, I'm going to say that Popeyes has a blackened chicken ranch dressing that is pretty good. It's probably the only thing redeemable. I mean, the chicken will kill you. But there's that. And then, boy, just in terms of sauces, there's probably the zesty sauce from Burger King for the onion rings. No, you're side-eyeing me. Wow, I'm striking out all over the place. What the hell's wrong with me? The hot sauce from Taco Bell, I guess. Like, I don't even think that's like, the picante that you get with the breakfast burritos. I'm trying to go through all of the ideas of all. This is a really hard list. I like it.
This is hard.
I like it.
I'm going to give you one clue. There was
please.
a restaurant on there I'd never even heard of. So one might be really hard to get.
Like Sizzler? Lums? Like, are we going back in time? But by the way, you guys do know that one of my lifelong dreams is to open up another ground round. I just want to open up a ground round. Free popcorn. That's all I'm going to say. When my Facebook post says free popcorn, know that I've reached my goal and purchased the restaurant. Um, oh my gosh, I don't know where to go. There's got to be some sort of steakhouse one on there. Ruth Chris's.
No,
Really?
this is fast food. Fast food.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
got to
nothing's
go.
faster.
Okay, so think about your Mickey D's. Think about your, your burger
See, I
joint.
do think of the Mickey D's, and you shot down the Big Mac sauce. Like I would think that would be like right there. What's some of the other sauces that go along with it? I mean, I could say something like I could see Panda Express being on there for some sweet and sour sauce. Really? You're just shaking me off I'm not. I can't even get out of the gate on this one. But I did get the Chick-fil-A one, right?
You did. You got Chick-fil-A. I'm going to give you another clue.
Okay.
When we went to Shasta, we went to this
In-N-Out Burger,
right, but which sauce?
the animal sauce.
Yes.
So think of an entire group of people, primarily women from the Northeast, going to In-N-Out Burger for the first time going, what's animal sauce? It looked a little creepy with a bunch of menopausal women like grabbing onto the guy going, what's in the animal sauce? That's why you made this list. You made the list because
fascinated. We're like,
oh my gosh. And it was only one person, and poor Sandy like lost half of her fries. So they're like, don't try some. It's okay. It's like the fries are okay, but the sauce is delicious. Poor Sandy didn't even get her fries. Like, we'll get you more. She's like, it's okay.
Poor Sandy.
And we're like, we'll go back. We'll get more. I don't think we ever went back and got more. But yeah, so that's a good one. There's got to be more. Is there a Jack in the Box one on there? No, I don't. Is there a Mexican restaurant? Is Taco Bell on there at all? Really? Because Taco Bell actually has a really good Chipotle ranch that I would have like. It's a really good accoutrement. I can't believe I just used the word
accoutrement.
Did I just use the word accoutrement and Taco Bell in the same sentence?
You did.
I think I did. Kentucky Fried Chicken, I can't really see them having any sauces. Are they on there? Let's do this. Let me go down like all of the. We'll do a process by elimination because clearly I don't know this. Chick-fil-A has the Chick-fil-A sauce. Do they have any other entries?
No.
Okay. So then In-N-Out Burger, they have the animal sauce.
Yep.
Right. So, okay. So that's two of them. Not sure what ranking. Kentucky Fried Chicken, not on there. Popeye's not on there. Church's, which is another. No. Okay. Is McDonald's on the list at all?
Yes.
Really? And it's not the Big Mac sauce.
No, McDonald's has 2.
Stop. So, honey mustard and sweet and sour. They're
yes to 1.
So maybe is it? Yeah, remember the thing that came out a couple of years ago that if you took the honey mustard and the sweet and sour and put it together, it was like a Szechuan chicken, and you're like, oh my gosh,
right?
Yeah. And meanwhile, it was covering up that you were consuming chicken byproduct. You're not even. They're not even gonna. They're gonna be called McCrispies from now on because they can't call them chicken by law. Pay attention to that.
That's just so disgusting.
Oh my gosh, it's got formaldehyde and siding in it.
Disgusting.
And by the way, you too can become a foster parent. So my guess is that the sweet and sour one is on there, correct?
Yes.
And then
so.
I'm gonna say, is the barbecue on there?
No.
And it's not the honey mustard?
It's one of the mustards, but I don't think it's honey mustard.
Sriracha mustard? I don't know.
No. See, now I'm trying to even remember my list.
Well, why don't you turn it over? I'll just look away.
That's kind of sad.
I'll just look away. Okay, so it's another dipping sauce, though, right? It's another like McNugget one. Okay, so
yeah. Yep.
It's probably like an avocado ranch or something. And then what other fast foods? Okay, so Wendy's. Is Wendy's on there?
Yes.
Wendy's, I'm gonna say, is in the. It's probably for the nuggets again. Oh no, the honey. It's the honey butter. No, honey butter. That's actually in a pinch. In a pinch. By the way, one of the problems with the pandemic is they got rid of all the grilled chicken stuff. Believe it or not, Burger King actually had a really good grilled chicken sandwich, and they got rid of it during the pandemic. It was actually my go-to when I was losing weight. When I'm just like, I'm gonna have a thing. So what sauce do they have? I don't even know. I'm happy I don't know. I'm actually happy I don't know.
Right.
I'm happy I'm
Right.
failing at this. I've really tried. I've really
I
tried.
know. No, you have. You have.
Um,
I didn't know any of them, so you already got
you're
me.
such a snob. You're such a British socialite. Like, as in, oh, what is this? So if I serve it in like a Grey Poupon jar, you're like, oh, this is fantastic. And I'll be like, it's McDonald's, bitch.
It's the Big Mac sauce. Ooh,
Ooh,
what
that's
accoutrement is this?
that's accoutrement. There's that word again. Okay, is Burger King on there?
I don't think so.
Your way right away. Taco Bell's not on there. Del Taco? Any of the other?
No Mexican.
We should tell you something, guys. Oh, White Castle. Is White Castle on there? White Castle used to have a ranch. It had a ranch that was like really, really good, and then they had it pulled from the market because of radiation or something. I don't know.
I don't
welcome,
even want to know. I don't
welcome,
even want to know.
welcome to the Midwest, everybody.
Wow.
All right, I give up. It sounds like I got a few of them, but surprise and wow us. What do you got?
All right. You ready?
Sure.
Here we go.
Hot mustard, Wendy's Ghost Pepper Ranch, Five Guys Heinz Mayo. Really?
Which, yeah, I'm like, it's mayo. Like that to me, I was like, I don't know about
Whataburger is the other one out west. Okay, I can kind of see that too. But
I'd never heard of Whataburger. I don't even know that chain. So I was like, that might be kind of hard.
No. The Whataburger is out there out west. There are some in the east, but they're really in select stuff here. Chick-fil-A sauce, obviously. The Five Guys, and by the way, Five Guys is consistently. See, Five Guys, as much as it's fast food because it's cooked to order, and it kind of gets out the door pretty quick. It's still like, if there's a place that I go to, I had Five Guys this week. I haven't touched any of these other places in forever, which I'm very happy with. But Five Guys, I mean, they actually have natural ingredients. The fries are flawed, all that other good stuff. But the Ghost Pepper Ranch from Wendy's, I guess that kind of makes sense. They've done a pretty good advertising campaign with it. McDonald's clearly the sweet and sour sauce, is not really human. It's done from like pieces of Roswell, and the animal sauce is probably just from the grease trap out back, where they're just like, did you put in the grease yet? Where it's mostly ketchup, mayo, and grease trappings. And there you go. I don't know why we can't get a sponsor, Daryl. Yeah, the Five Guys definitely, but I would have never thought that a mayo was like a dipping sauce.
Oh, that's huge in some places. Mayo with French
God.
fries. It's good. That is good.
With your pommes frites.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. That's pretty hysterical. So, all right. Well, listen, these are great lists. I like to be stumped like this. I love to be, to look at how and why, things kind of got there. I didn't see the Whataburger is just kind of like my own, but this is one of those things. It's like, this kind of proves what influences you, right? We don't have Whataburger around here, so I wouldn't have thought of that. And, you and I are two that don't really eat fast food. And if I do, it's usually, the wrong shit anyways. But it's none of those places. In a pinch, if I had to choose, it would probably be like a Wendy's. But Five Guys, I don't really consider them fast food just because the quality of it is pretty strong. But they're missing that fast food element, right? It's an upgrade right across the board.
Yeah.
but that's a perfect example of like how influences and how things that you're exposed to and not exposed to really kind of show that. I did pretty okay with the first list though.
Yeah, no, you got 4 out of 5 on the
Yeah,
first list.
I'm still a Pisces. I need praise, so I need an 80% across the board all the time. Please stack the deck so I look smart.
We'll try. You got number 1 right out of the gate.
She's never going to do that, everybody. Never. Like, so listen, let's wrap things up, but let's talk about what's coming up for next week. Does anybody want to guess who our guest host is going to be next week? And the way that the guest host stuff is going to go is, and by the way, you didn't even see this coming when I told you. You even went, oh.
I didn't see it coming. No.
Yeah, it was a thing. It was a thing. It was we have like one person watching now. That's okay. It's all right. We consider a success. We're gonna have to chop some of this up pretty good. So this guest is an astrologer, and everybody's just like, oh, we know who it is. So without further ado, and again, Lindsay's done a great job. Lindsay's going to be a co-host with us every other week, which will be cool because we like her vibe. We like how things go. But we got to be respectful to how people are growing and what they're doing and what are, my vision doesn't always fit everybody else's vision. But what I found is that really great contributors are super important to me. So that's a home run to me. But no, we're gonna sit in some comfortable areas. Are you guys ready? You guys ready? Oh, our guest host next week is going to be none other than astrologer and life coach Penny Dix.
She's back.
Well, she's back. She didn't go anywhere. I don't really know.
No, I know.
But I'm so excited to have Penny on board with this. I explained to her the new format and how things are going, and she goes, "Can I still flirt with you?" And I said, well, yeah, I guess so. And then she goes, because you flirt everywhere. You even flirt with like dipping sauces, you insecure baboon, you mannequin. She carries on with things. But yeah, she's going to come on board. She's going to be a contributing factor, and she will be a regular co-guest host on a lot of shows coming forward. We have a little bit of catching up to do, but we're going to fit into the format of where we're going with this. She really likes the idea of our structure and what this new podcast is. And when Penny and I were talking about it, she sat back and said, well, then it sounds like you're doing it, dear. Sounds like you're doing all those crazy, wonderful ideas. I'm so glad. Of course, you still had to have somebody with a British background in order to do it. She blames you.
You're welcome.
And I love Penny too. And I've got a lot of friends in this work, and I've got a lot of interesting people, and I've met a ton of amazing souls. And Penny, I can't think of anybody else to start, this kind of next step in all of this than someone like her. And you're going to really get to know some of these co-guest hosts over the year. I plan to do this for a while. I think this is going to really be a different way to go. And I know even in this show, we were kind of like, okay, we're still feeling our way. We're going to hit a groove. If you follow this from the beginning, I'm telling you, in about 2 to 3 months, we're going to hit a groove that you're just going to be like, these guys are like pushing buttons. They're doing stuff. We just need to figure out how to do it and coordinate it and see it and keep it in vision and that sort of thing. And I think all the right pieces are in place.
So what day and time is our next show?
That is going to be next Wednesday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is at 4 p.m. or is it 5 p.m.?
She's 6 hours ahead.
Actually, it's 6. It's 10:30. I'm so sorry. We have to go 10:30 because, my dear, I need my beauty rest. Can we start that a half hour early? So it'll be at 10:30. And Penny will be joining us. We'll have a power pack show for this, but you are only going to be able to see it in its entirety if you become a audience member. $2.99 a month. And by the way, if you don't like it or you just want to see that show, oh, by the way, also, I'm going to go ahead and go here with this. Do you know what else you get? I haven't really talked about this, but I'm going to say it here. If you become a producer member, you can actually see all the old episodes of Whiskey and Bagels. It's the only place you can find them now. Something to be said for owning your own stuff, right?
Yeah, pretty cool.
But yeah, there's some fun episodes in there. I had to kind of go through them when I was doing the Trump video and trying to find my prediction. It was a year and a half ago that I called my shot that Trump would have his assets seized and he would flee the country. Just telling you. I get an inbox full of people telling me I'm right.
And, fingers crossed. That's all I have to say.
By the way, what is it with all the coffees leaking around here today?
I don't know. Is that still leaking?
No, different cup.
Oh, different cup. Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that should worry you even more. Like the other way was like, okay, you're stupid. You're using the cup that was leaking, but this is another cup leaking. What is up with that?
I don't know.
We should write management.
Is it my fault? It's producer's fault.
You have to keep the talent happy. All right, guys, listen, we really appreciate you joining us. Thank you for coming along on this. Look for a regular schedule. Oh, and also on the back end of this, you'll also receive a calendar of upcoming guests. If you'd like to be a guest or you have a product you'd like us to talk about on the podcast, just reach out to us at producer@comediumroast.com. That is our fun-filled email, and that goes right into Daryl's inbox, and she makes sure everybody gets answered. She might tell you to kiss off, but she'll also tell you what a great idea. So it's kind of a risk. I mean, that's been my experience. Like whenever I like float a good idea, I'm sorry when I say I'm trying to center my head. I'm like tilting my body. I need room for Kurt Von to get behind me, and now I'm kind of like in a suave position, and I can go for like another 2 or 3 hours.
Well, you got Bob over your shoulder. You got Kurt down on your right-hand side there.
Got my dragon.
Yep.
Got my dragon. Got my colors.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fantastic.
All good stuff.
There you go. You have a backdrop that looks haunting. It looks like a portal. It looks like a portal.
Yeah, how do you know it's not? You don't know what I'm doing after the show.
you don't know what I did before I hung it up. Careful on the edges. Careful on the edges. All right, guys. Listen, thanks so much for being part of it. I look forward to reveal different things about the show, such as our theme song, such as our different episodes, such as our sponsors. And as always, as we sign off, we're going to give you guys a heart tap to remind you to keep going. And we promise to do better next time.
Yes, we do. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right, guys, take care. Be well. Da, da, da.
Bye.